Hey everybody, welcome to Center Stage. I'm your host Rajiv, and today I'm honored to have Ishita Matharu from Yahoo Small Business, Verizon, Head of Digital Marketing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Rajiv. And just a quick disclaimer.
Sure.
All the opinions are mine and don't represent those of my employer.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. So on that note, I do want to get to your roles and responsibility with Yahoo Small Business, but before we go there, you have a very interesting background, and that is specifically you've been doing this form of Israeli martial arts called Krav Maga.
Yeah, Krav Maga.
Krav Maga for over 11 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I did a little bit of research, and it's really what I found was really about technique and intent, not really about strength.
Yeah.
So tell the audience a little bit, how did you get into this form of Israeli martial arts, and what has that done for you?
Sure. So it's, before Krav Maga, which I started about 11 years ago, I was 2.5 years old when I started Taekwondo.
Wow.
And I did that all the way up until I was about 18. I am a black belt in that, and it was more competitive.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of felt that I needed a little more on the self-defense side.
Okay.
Because Taekwondo is more a competitive sport. And I had the techniques. It's a classical martial art, so to say.
Right.
But Krav Maga tends to be, its literal translation from Hebrew is close combat.
Okay.
And it's basically your body is your weapon. So you've got to be agile, and it is lesser about strength, more about technique and faster. And they say that someone who's a Krav Maga expert can put someone down in about 3 seconds.
Whoa.
I don't know if I can do that.
Don't mess with her, everybody.
But that's
amazing. And you still do it?
I do. In fact,
teach?
Yeah, in India, I used to teach. Once I moved here, I moved more towards just practicing myself.
Gotcha.
But I did specialize as an instructor. In fact, I'm still the head of Krav Maga women's division in India.
Okay.
And whenever I'm back, I hold workshops with our head there.
Amazing. Love it. Very unique story. So I'm curious, how has that training and that mindset helped you in your professional career?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the one seminar or longer duration training that actually changed my life within Krav Maga was the one where we were taught to teach other women. And I think the unique thing about that session was I learned more about myself than about how to teach other women. And the key thing is in a regular civilian class, it's about an hour's class. A women's class where you only have women in the classroom, it's an hour and 20 minutes.
And why is that?
Where 20 minutes is just talking.
Okay.
It's just needed because there's a lot of work on intuition. It's more about prevention being better than cure. Okay. So don't even get into that situation. And we have an inner alarm somewhere in the gut. Right. And it's men have it too. Sure. It's just a little more sensitive in women. Okay. And we can actually train that. So
your intuition.
Yes. And that's the training that happens in those 20 minutes.
Okay. And then so how does that apply? How have you been able to apply that with your professional career? How has it helped you with your mindset, with being more intuitive, being more in tune to that side of your body and your mind?
Sure. I think apart from intuition, it has really informed the way I approach work and my stakeholder relationships. I think before that training, I did not know that I felt sorry for saying no to someone for anything, and that I think applies at work, and it's kind of common to all women. We just feel sorry too much. And I think that was one key thing of how to be assertive, when to draw the line, because that's what even self-defense is about when it starts to get in the zone of being more preventive. You stop something the moment you feel there's something wrong or that it doesn't feel right, rather than make an excuse for the other person in your head, let it go, and then try to cure it if something went wrong. Gotcha. So I think just being more assertive upfront and not being sorry about it.
Okay, great. And so you've been at Verizon, Yahoo Small Business, Verizon for 2 years, and you're head of digital marketing. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what Yahoo Small Business is and what they do?
Yeah. So at Yahoo Small Business, we help inspire anybody who has an idea to start, manage, and grow their business online. And I think this is very close to my heart. And one of the reasons why I joined here, because I had my own startup and I was born in a business family in India, and my father had a small business of his own.
Okay.
My brother has a business of his own. My mom ran a boutique of her own. So literally surrounded by entrepreneurs. And I think I understand the pain points of a business owner. And
empathy, huge, very important.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to solve at Yahoo Small Business.
Okay. And so how are you competing with the other players that are out there? What's differentiating you guys from the other web hosting companies that people can choose from for small business?
Sure. So I think the way most hosting companies approach it is hosting has become a commodity these days. So I think beyond just competing on price, our differentiator is bundling our products into what makes sense for the user.
Okay.
If you got hosting, you're going to want to build a website. You're going to want a domain. You're going to want a business email. And we bundle it up for you rather than divide it up. It's a true bundle, as in we don't kind of say you start with this and break it out and charge you more the next year on. We charge exactly the same. It remains a true bundle because that is what a business owner truly needs.
Gotcha. And you also offer 24/7 customer support.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing. And your title recently changed, but you were head of customer acquisition and customer marketing. So let's talk about your role as customer acquisition, user acquisition. What does that look like? What are the things you have done from a marketing perspective to acquire small businesses?
Sure. So I think it's Yahoo Small Business is mostly marketed on the digital front. So expansion across the various digital platforms has been a huge initiative. In addition, exploring other channels. Small businesses, the way they function and what works for them is education. As a small business owner, I would be looking to learn more. I wear multiple hats. I behave like a very informed consumer online, but I really want to be treated like an enterprise. So I think really offering webinars, doing more content, more education-focused approach is really kind of some of the channels that we've tried out.
Okay. And so on that note of channel marketing, which I think is very important as a digital marketer, to explore different channels and to see which ones are working better. You mentioned webinars, you mentioned websites, and just creating more information and educating your consumers. What channels have you found are working better than others when it comes to these personas as it pertains to small business owners?
Sure. So I think nothing beats good old search. Okay. It's intent-based, and I wouldn't be surprised if everybody in the industry would vouch for search.
So let's talk about search, because I think search is, we were just talking about search earlier with a previous interview that I had. And it's ever evolving. It's somewhat elusive as well as the algorithms continue to change. What advice or what pro tips can you give the audience when it comes to SEO in terms of, ranking as high as possible based on particular keywords, having high domain authority? What has worked for you in your experience?
Sure. So with search, there is the SEO and the paid side to it as well. I think key to SEO would be having content which users are interested in and ensuring that other websites which aren't from your own domain vouch for you. So backlinking. Okay. So those are a few pieces that really help improve your rank overall, because you're at the end of the day telling the search engine that others are vouching for me too. And I have all of this content, which is related to what users are looking for.
And so let me ask you. So yeah, I agree 100%. In terms of those backlinks, which are very important, which is third-party, validation. What's been an effective strategy to get third-party backlinks back to your site? How are you doing that?
I think it's slightly tricky because it depends on relationships, and there's a lot of cold approach. So, I think it's pretty much like sales, you have to keep at it.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of paid search, let's talk about what's been effective for you in terms of SEM or social paid, which is, trending quite a bit right now. Any particular channel as it pertains to paid that's been working for you for conversion?
Sure. On the paid side, I think it's key to test between 3 different tactics. One is, of course, getting users to convert through your website. Second, try out demand gen together with your sales team with a landing page. And third is demand gen without a landing page. Okay. So really having click to calls or lead gen form ads. Gotcha. Those are the 3 funnels that I would recommend trying.
And I think Facebook has lead gen forms in the ad themselves where you don't need a landing page, which is one less click to get to your customer. Yeah,
I think kind of testing all 3 and figuring out what works for your organization and optimizing different parts of it would be key.
Great. You recently received the Verizon Leadership Award back in April of 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What was that all about?
Sure. That was part of the Verizon SMB Product and Marketing Org. Yahoo Small Business is a part of that organization within Verizon. And it was a surprise. It was our all-hands call. Our leader announced it. And the funny thing is, the moment it was announced, I saw my name on the screen and it was over a video conference. And I couldn't hear anything after that. So I really don't know what I was awarded for, but I do know that there's a lot of work that my team put in to help grow Yahoo Small Business. So I believe it's Verizon being Verizon, the amazing culture they have of appreciation. Yep. I think that's pretty much what it's for.
Amazing. Congratulations. Speaking of culture, I knew Yahoo back in the early days. I worked at Excite early on when there was Lycos and Alta Vista and Go, and Yahoo was there. And Yahoo is one of the last remaining search engines from that era. And now, of course, it's owned by Verizon. So speak to us a little bit about the culture. What's that like at the company?
At Yahoo or Verizon?
Both.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So Yahoo with Marissa Mayer having been there. So I am an ex-Googler. Yep. I found the culture to be very similar to that of Google, where it's very horizontal, great perks, great benefits, great working environment, open working space. And when we sort of moved over to Verizon, Verizon had a very similar culture of an open working space. Everybody challenges everyone to do more, to continue to do better than yourself. So I think there's that culture. And just as a female leader, I've been exposed to great programs within Verizon as well. So I think they have a great culture of promoting and growing the people.
That's fantastic. And as a female leader and head of digital marketing at Yahoo Small Business, what does your team look like?
My team is comprised of, we've got the team that reports into me, and then there's an extended team that reports into them, mostly vendors or agencies. Okay. We have different parts of it. We have people who manage the media, people who manage the organic, and then the customer marketing side of it from an automation standpoint. Okay.
And so great segue into customer marketing and automation. We were talking about sort of marketing being this hub and having different internal stakeholders, sales being one of them, product being one of them, and customer success, what I would call, being another. What does that world look like for you when it comes to customer marketing and automation?
Sure. I think automation also involves engineers to a large extent, just from a signal and tracking standpoint. So I think just overall, any marketing org, your stakeholders can make or break things for you from a strategy or initiative standpoint. But the good thing is we have a very good cohesive group, and everybody is very supportive to help the business grow. So as long as everyone's aligned, all the stakeholders work together. Okay.
What's the biggest challenge currently in your role?
What's the biggest challenge in my role? We always want to do more. My team and I, we hold brainstorming sessions every month, and we come up with these great ideas. And all of us want to do more than we can. Sometimes we wish we had more than 24 hours a day. Not that we work 24 hours, but just from the standpoint of wanting to constantly do more, there are a lot of dreams that we have that we want to achieve. But I think it's a good thing to aim for the stars so you at least hit the moon.
Sure. Sure. I mean, it's great to inspire and think innovatively and think outside of the box and come up with big ideas. What's your approach when it comes to prioritization? Because as you mentioned, there's so much to do and so little time. And I'm sure you have business goals and objectives. And then there's sort of these inspiring and innovative ideas. So how do you balance the two and how do you prioritize?
Sure. With prioritization, I think there's a top-down approach wherein we have the business goals that have been set and business priorities. I don't like to prescribe priorities to my team. So what we do is I communicate to them what the business needs and have them figure out what they should be spending time on to help achieve those goals and how much can they do. So my team pretty much sets their own goals, but they're fully educated on what the business needs and they're leaders in their own roles. Yeah. So they prioritize.
Great. Are there any trends that you're seeing that excites you?
Yes. I think voice search is one that makes me uncomfortably excited.
Okay.
And
why uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable because it's growing. And when you look at the overall industry and search volumes, they're reducing on desktop and mobile. Voice search is beginning to take that share. So this means that our target audience is moving in a direction where there isn't a very clearly identified marketing channel.
Gotcha.
So that's what makes me uncomfortably excited because I'm also excited to see what solutions come out from a marketing standpoint.
So we talked about different tactics as it pertains to channel marketing. How are you leveraging data to make informed decisions as you define your strategy?
Okay, so with data, of course, there is the trend analysis. Where you try and see the lines and the curves of your cancels and your new ads. It's a subscription business. So I think really figuring out what is the cause and effect of big and small changes. So I think keeping a track of that to then correctly forecast what the business will end up with. We work closely with the product team through a channel. There's the channel perspective and the product perspective that merges together for forecasts. That's how we use our historical data. And of course, from a decision-making standpoint, what we also do is attribution tends to be a challenge for most marketing orgs. So you have to become creative as to how you would leverage your data to correctly attribute. So I think one interesting analysis that we did is right from the standpoint of impression, when you bring someone to your website, there is a phone number up there. Now, some users will just pick up the phone and call. You can't attribute that this particular call came through a paid channel. So what we do is we do a bit of correlation analysis. We have analysts on the team, and they help determine how the sales calls are related to marketing efforts. And we're able to create an equation around it and correctly attribute. So a lot of data goes into that.
And you mentioned cancels and ads. And so I think you're referring to sort of cancel subscriptions or churn. Speaking specifically around churn, what have been some learnings around cancels or churns that are educating you or informing you on how to prevent churn and improve retention?
Sure. So I think one key thing is surveys. Whenever someone is exiting, there's an exit survey. And then the way I think about customer marketing overall, there are parts to it. There is the cross-sell, upsell. There is the moving from free to paid. There is the proactive retention, which is just engaging in the start to get them to do that one action that will help keep them in the future. So, for example, with hosting, if someone builds a website, they've got skin in the game.
Right.
They're going to stay. But if someone buys a product from you and does nothing about it, they're most likely going to churn at some point of time if they do nothing with the product they bought. And then, of course, you've got the final retention stage. So identifying what are some of those key reasons why people cancel closer to the renewal time is key, and then addressing them proactively and also in a reactive way. So there's both parts to it.
Gotcha. And, definitely check out the websites. Speaking of websites, Yahoo Small Business has some amazing themes if you're thinking about starting a small business. Really, really love what you guys are doing there.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm going to switch gears and ask some fun questions, which I do with all my guests. So first question, what is your superpower?
I think this is something my mother imbibed in me and my brother both, just multitasking.
Okay.
I think, it wasn't until more recently when I grew and really kind of formed my own opinions around time management that I realized how much she had trained us on time management. I literally would have school get over around 1:30. 2 to 3 was my dance class.
Okay.
3 to 4 was my tuition for studies. 4 to 5 was tennis. Wow. 5 to 6 was taekwondo. And then I came home.
Oh my goodness.
So
packed schedule.
We had a packed schedule, and between classes, we would change clothes in the car. So I think multitasking and really kind of managing your time has been an inherent skill. And I believe, thanks to my mom for that superpower, I think it really helps me with my work and my personal life.
Nice. Do you have any daily habits or rituals that keeps you productive or in the flow?
Yes, I think the one thing that does not make me productive or does not get me in the flow is just inhibitions before starting something or starting something new. So
how do you overcome those inhibitions?
I shut my self-limiting thoughts, dive straight in, and just get started with it without overthinking. I think half the challenges are just in our heads. So it's all about diving in, and then I think once I'm in the situation, I get in the zone and start to kind of tackle the problem.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
Got it. What's on your playlist?
What's on my playlist? Yes. I love Lana Del Rey. She's my favorite. She's coming to the Greek Theater in Berkeley very soon.
And she just came out with a retake of Summertime.
Yes, I love her. And her song Ride, that one is really beautiful. If
you've never been to the Greek Theater, amazing venue.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out. So, you're a successful woman leader. What advice or wisdom can you impart to other females that are, working in large or small companies that are trying to sort of raise the ranks? What advice can you give them?
Sure. I think this is something a counselor had told me back in school. This was a career counselor. And I asked him, how do I decide what career path I choose? The response, I didn't understand it in the moment, but it makes a lot of sense now. We're not born on this earth to make the right decisions.
Okay.
We're born to make decisions and then prove them right. So I think don't be afraid to make decisions. Of course, base it off of data and clear reasoning behind them and logic. But don't be afraid to make decisions and just work hard to prove them right.
Great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being a guest on my show, Ishita Matharu, Head of Digital Marketing at Verizon Yahoo Small Business.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Again, this is Center Stage. I'm your host, Rajiv. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.